Are you tired of feeling like your project management position is constantly under threat? Despite all your hard work and dedication? Well, I got something for you. If you stay tuned, we're going to unlock the secrets to becoming truly indispensable in a fast paced, ever evolving world of project management. But I must warn you, nothing is 100% fail proof. Matter of fact, you still got to do the work. And know the only thing that you can control is becoming an exceptional project manager. If you're new to the channel, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, listen, that just simply means Ed. I have an 8-point framework. In these 8 points, my goal, my mission, and my job here is to unpack today's title, which is entitled, How Do You Not Allow Someone to Trick You Out of Your Project Management Role? Again, how do you not allow someone to trick you out of your project management role? You know, family, how this title came about was about 7 or 8 years ago. Stakeholder tried to trick me out of my position. You see, they were explaining to me that, oh, well, we don't need a project schedule. Oh, we don't need a project chart. Oh, we don't need, you get where I'm going. And so I'm thinking, well, how have they been running projects before? So I'm trusting this person because I'm new to the organization. I don't know what what is what. And I was like, but that doesn't make sense based on my project management background. Why wouldn't you at least at minimum have a schedule to track to see how you're doing? Why at minimum you wouldn't even have some type of communication plan to communicate to your stakeholders? And what I realized near the end, like going back and forth with this person, I realized that they really didn't, well, I should say that person didn't want a project manager because they were afraid of their job being in jeopardy, meaning being called out on things that they should have been doing when a project manager wasn't there. They had an opportunity to be more lax because there was no accountability there. So I thought about that and I said, you know what? I need to share this with the family. I don't know how many times I've watched personally how project managers will get tricked out of their position because of the fact of that they're catering to their stakeholders, in which you should, but not catering away from the principles of why you're there. And you're there to lead the project and to meet the triple constraints to ensure that your project has the type of success in which can bring on more projects, and you're supporting the organization. So let's get into point number one. Point number one is stay visible to senior management. Listen, you need to ensure that your contributions are being recognized by the decision makers. This is going to allow you to advance your career. You always want to make sure they're aware of what you're doing on the ground level, because sometimes they're not made aware. Sometimes the manager won't take the time to acknowledge you that you're reporting to, or the PMO. So you want to make sure that anytime you get, as we say, call it FaceTime in front of an executive or a leader, you want to have the ability to articulate what you're working on, what you're doing, making it straight to the point, no fluff, so they're aware of your talent and your skill set. All right, let's move on to point number two. Maintain high ethical standards. When I shared with you at the beginning of this episode, I was sharing with you, family, how a stakeholder was trying to convince me that, hey, you know, we don't need a schedule, we don't need these things. But what that stakeholder didn't understand is my integrity, my reputation was on the line to deliver this project. So I wanted to make sure that I was leading this project as ethical as possible. So because again, if this opportunity didn't work out, I still need to go look for a job opportunity. And so if they ever circle back and find out, well, you weren't ethical, nobody wants to deal with anyone that's not ethical. So I challenge you, family, no matter what you're up against, continue to draw the line and maintain that professionalism, because if you don't, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be defending a reputation that maybe you took years or decades to create, and it could be gone just like that. All right, let's move on to point number three. Maintain a positive attitude. Listen, family, especially to my new project coordinators that are getting into this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management. This is going to be a key attribute for you to have success, because listen, There could be somebody that is super smart, that's very intelligent, that really brings a lot to the table. But if they have have stinking thinking, if they have a poor attitude, nobody's going to want to work with them. They'll rather work with somebody that doesn't have the experience, that they can coach, that they can help guide. That so what I'm saying, well, I'm saying all that to say this, family: maintaining a positive attitude by through whether you get constructive feedback, whether you face challenges or set, keeping that positive attitude, people are going to want to work with you more. And when people see that you're somebody that is not about being a doormat, it's not about, oh, he or she is easy to get along with. It's about, hey, even though we were up against that, you know what? That person still kept a positive mindset, like, hey, we're going to get through it. Let's draw out some solutions, and let's take some action. We can't harp on where we're at. We need to harp on where we're going. So, family, keep maintaining a positive attitude is going to be huge. Family, as I mentioned, there's new training that's going to be coming in the month of April, which will be next month. Right now, currently, I think it's the 28th of March. So what's coming is we're going to be creating CAPM questions. We're going to be talking about project artifacts, PMP questions, and then PMP, or in project management terminology. All right, let's move on to point number 4. What you want to be able to do, family, this is huge. The message: promote a collaborative team environment. What I've noticed on some of the most successful projects that I have been a part of is that high performing teams are the foundation of successful projects. It's just, anytime you get a chance to work with a team that's looking to collaborate, it just really truly fosters a amazing work environment. Why do I say that? Well, because what tends to happen is that you'll notice that when you're in a collaborative environment, everyone doesn't go to their silo. They look at it like, oh, well, we have a problem, not I have a problem. How do we solve it? And the team jumps in to provide consultation on recommendations of how to solve the particular problem that we're up against, versus being in more of a silo, more of a, this is my work and I'm going to go hide, or or as they'll say, I'm going to take my ball home and go play with it. So basically the point I'm making, family, being able to promote a collaborative team environment would be huge. Point number 5: strengthen your choosing battle skills. I told you in the book, even in the book, there's a woman named Dolores Harris. That is my mother. And let me tell you about this woman. She always talked about, son, choose your battles wisely. I talk about it in the book right here, The Magnetic Project Manager. And the reason why I talk about choosing your battle wisely is because me personally, I didn't understand that concept at the time. If somebody said something, I had to say something back. If somebody did something to me, I had to do something back. And I realized that wasn't helping the team. But there's times where you do need to show a stance of assertiveness, and there's times where you just need to sit back and let it play out. But keep it in your mind, but let it play out to see what's going to happen. And so that's why I say choosing your battles wisely, because you want to win the war. The war is ensuring that this project meets the outcomes of what your project sponsor outlined in the business case. Let's move on to point number 6. Implement effective stakeholder management. Listen, you want to be continuously being proactive versus reactive in managing stakeholder relationships to ensure your support for the project. Listen, family, you're leading the project, but the stakeholders, your subject matter expert, they're the one that's helping you be successful. So you want to make sure you help them be successful. By helping them be successful, you need to ensure that you are identifying stakeholders early, understanding their interests, their concerns, and keeping them engaged and informed through the entire project from beginning to end. And the reason why that is important is because if you do not keep them engaged and you find out there were stakeholders that needed to be part of the project and you decided not to bring them on, it's going to hurt you long term, because they're going to disrupt your project. They're going to make it more challenging than it already is. So always want to identify key stakeholders early and understand their interests and concerns. Point number 7: and communicate clear project boundaries. I wasn't going to be able to leave without saying something about communication. Listen, clear boundaries help manage expectations. As you always hear me say, frustration comes from a lack of understanding what the expectation is. is. So by setting and managing expectation, you have the opportunity to protect the project scope. You have an opportunity to protect the project timelines. You have an opportunity to protect the cost of it, as well as the quality. So you want to ensure that you're doing everything you potentially can do to establish and set clear communication boundaries. Point number 8, one of my favorites, which you want to sustain and maintain professionalism. Listen, no matter what happens, I don't care how challenging the situation can get, and I understand we're going to make mistakes because we're human, but I recommend, a matter of fact, I ask upon you that you always enact a sense of being professional, even in challenging situations. Like I said, there's things that you're going to have to avoid. You're going to have to avoid getting caught up in what we call water cooler talk, or AKA gossip. You have to avoid when someone gives you constructive feedback, that don't take it personally. Listen to what the person or people are saying, and then you need to respond accordingly. But also through this whole thing, you're going to have to maintain a professionalism that allows you to stay calm through the storms. I love that, because in a storm, a lot of times we want to panic. A lot of times in storms, we want to overreact. No, 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 no. And this is going to take practice. There's going to be opportunities. I'll give you an example where I was great at it, and then there was opportunities that I allowed the storm to take advantage of me. So we need to understand that, hey, the team is looking to you to lead, and a leader always keeps that cool. Don't They never get too high, never get too low. It's right in the middle, and you are a leader. My bonus for you, family, and again, we know, you know, the saying here on the channel, and especially this particular episode, documentation always going to be conversation. So this bonus point is establish clear documentation. What you want to do, what you want to ensure, is keep thorough documentations of all your project plans, decisions, and changes. One of the things I'll recommend, and I'm going to do a full video on it as part of the new training for April, is we're going to go over artifacts. One of my favorite artifacts is called a RAID log. What is a RAID log? People have used it in different ways. This is how I use it. The RAID stands for, or RAID Q actually, here's the acronym. Here's the breakdown of the acronym. It stands for risk, that's the R. A is for action items. I is for issues. D is for decisions. And then Q is for questions. When you're in a meeting and people have questions, you want to log those questions. You want to even have the answers if you're able to record the video, or you're able to keep up in the writing aspect of things. Why? Because you want to be able to have this RAID log where you can come back, and if someone says, hey, what was that decision that was made, or when was that question, you can pull up your RAID log and say, well, hey, on March 28th, we made a decision that this is what we were going to do, X, Y, and Z. So again, making sure that you have a clear, understandable, and documentation that is really going to be there to assist the team in covering the team as well as covering yourself. Here's my 3 closing remarks, family. I hope you're really enjoying today's episode. I know it was a little different than what you're used to, but I really wanted to put this in place because I truly believe there are a lot of project managers, project coordinators out there. Now, I'm not going to forget about you, my program managers, as well as portfolio managers, is that sometimes we will allow a stakeholder to trick us out of our position because of the fear of, well, maybe they know more than we do. And it's not, I shouldn't even use the word they know more, but it's more about that we can get caught up in the politics of the business and not focus on what we were brought on board to, and that's to lead a particular project. So here's my 3 points. Maintain a positive attitude. Like I said, I believe any job is coachable. Let me step back. The majority of jobs are coachable at a particular organization if you have the foundation and you have the willingness to learn and you have the willingness to be coached while you're maintaining a positive attitude. My second point, strengthen your choosing battle skills. As I shared about that woman, my mother, Dolores Harris, she talked about picking and choosing your battles wisely. Was also in that book that's behind me, The Magnetic Project Manager. There's a chapter in there where we talk about that, because you want to be able to address the problems, of course, but you want to pick and choose when you are addressing these particular problems, or when you actually go, as they would say, go harder than you would normally. But You want to keep that even mind, even keel through it all. And my last and final point is stay visible to senior management. Listen, if senior management doesn't understand what you're doing, they're not going to understand if you're valuable or not. So you always want to ensure that you are making yourself visible to senior management. Family, I really hope today's episode spoke to you or spoke to someone out there. I'm talking to somebody. Somebody is going through this storm where they're feeling like they're not appreciated. They're feeling like they're not valued. They're feeling like, well, why should I even keep going? I'm here today to tell you, family, keep going, keep moving forward, because this is going to open up an opportunity. When you look back at this, you're going to say, man, I'm so glad that I kept moving forward despite of what was going on, despite how they were trying to trip me up. Until next time, this is your boy ED. I'm out.